Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Abbey, the podcast lady. This is actually a audio only version of this show. It's kind of a last minute emergency episode. I wouldn't call it an emergency episode. I would just call it a last minute one. There's hardly ever an emergency in podcasting. Let's start there. There's truly nothing that is going to probably be life or death when it comes to podcasting. So calling it an emergency, a little unhinged, a little just not the vibe. We are just doing an audio only episode because I am about ready to fall asleep. It is literally July 31st at almost 10 p.m. and I realize that tomorrow is August. It is my birthday month. It is the best month of the year. I intentionally took a lot of downtime in my schedule for this coming August to really savor and enjoy it. But that also means we are in what I refer to as the Sunday of summer. If you look at summer like it is a long weekend, like June would be Friday, July is Saturday, August is Sunday. People are gearing up for that cultural reset that is Memorial Day weekend. So we are getting ready for Sunday morning, essentially, of the year. If you look at it in my weird way of looking at a calendar. But as I'm laying here getting ready for bed, I am unfortunately reeling in my mind, as I often do. And I realize that it's kind of like the Sunday scaries of, just life in general. We all have the Sunday scaries sometimes of okay, what's the next step? What's my next thing I need to do? What's going to happen when the clock strikes 12 and it's Monday morning and it's a fresh week in front of me and I don't know what to do? I have all these plans, but I just keep kicking the can down the road. And I don't want that to be you with your podcast. So today, on this quote unquote emergency episode of Abbey the Podcast Lady, we are going to talk about what I would do if I wanted to launch a podcast by Labor Day weekend of this year. Like I said, clock's ticking. It's August 1st. What would I do in order to get that podcast launched and launched successfully? And what do I mean by successfully? Not having a bajillion downloads right out the gate, but instead having a game plan to sustain the podcast long term. Because anyone can launch a show, but it takes a very special type of person to keep a show going beyond episode 3 and then beyond episode 7 and then beyond episode 20 and 100 and so on and so forth. So here's what I would do if I wanted to successfully launch a podcast by Labor Day weekend. Number one, get your mindset right. Going back to calling the month of August the Sunday of the calendar, Labor Day is a cultural reset. I don't know if that's just something from being a lifelong Minnesotan that I view Labor Day as this cultural reset. In my brain, August is for silly, goofy fun time. And then once Labor Day weekend hits, once the state fair is over, it's back to business as usual. Summer's over, fun's over. And I know in the rest of the world, that's probably not the case. I know people go back to school way earlier than Labor Day. Even in Minnesota, they started doing that, which I don't have kids, so take this with a grain of salt, but I do not believe in sending children to school before Labor Day weekend. I think that is just wrong and cruel and unusual punishment. I know summer goes well into September, but in my mind, summer is Memorial Day to Labor Day. That's just how it is. Anyway, you need to get your mindset right when it comes to wanting to launch a podcast before Memorial Day weekend. Truly, look at this as this is the starting line to the rest of your life, because podcasting can take you a lot of really cool places, but you have to do the podcast. You have to do the hard work in order to reap the rewards of it. So get your mindset right that Labor Day is your starting line, but you got to be ready to run the race. Number two, what I would do is focus on a micro podcast. What do I mean by a micro podcast? I actually offer a micro podcast production service. It is $399 a month. It includes a full audio version of your podcast that is 10 minutes or less. It includes a couple of social media graphics and a reel to share, basically everything you need to have a podcast, but on a very small scale. I want you to focus on making a micro podcast because that is what you can batch in this next few weeks leading up to Labor Day weekend. I have multiple clients right now that are on the micro podcast production package with me, and they are all doing so well. What do I mean by well? I mean that they are consistent with their content, that they are sharing it. It is easy to do. It is feasible to do. It is easy to batch the content. They can get it to me in a timely manner. I can get it to them in a timely manner. Everything is posted on time. They are satisfied and happy, and it's creating this really cohesive marketing strategy for them and for their business. So I would focus on creating a micro podcast. If you want more information on what all comes with a micro podcast, or even if you want to work with me on that, I have everything on my website. Obviously, I'll link it in the show notes below, but I would really focus on just starting small. I would not start a podcast on Labor Day weekend if you are anticipating having hour-long episodes and interviews every single week. Do what's feasible. Yap for 10 minutes or less, audio only. Start there. Get your feet wet and get comfortable with the podcasting process in that capacity. Number 3 of what I would do if I wanted to start a podcast by Labor Day weekend, I would write down common FAQs and answer those in the episodes. So you're having conversations with people in your day-to-day life, in your business. They're asking for your expertise on things. You're probably getting some overlapping questions. I know I get overlapping questions all the time. People ask me, oh, how do I monetize a podcast? How do I start a podcast? How in the world does a podcast get on Spotify? How does it get on Apple? What does a podcast actually mean? Like, is it just a video? I'm getting questions like that constantly that I'm answering constantly, and I'm sure you are too, by being the expert in your field. So what I want you to do is open up a notes app on your phone and start writing them down. After you come out of a meeting with someone, after you get off that discovery call with someone, what were the 2 or 3 questions that they asked you that someone else has also asked you? And maybe someone else hasn't asked you that question, but it was a great question and you immediately had the answer for it. That's the biggest thing. What do you immediately have the answer for? Write those questions down, keep a running list, and each of those questions can be turned into an episode of a micro podcast, answering one specific question. And what's great about that is if you can have that question as the title of the podcast, it's going to be great SEO. Like literally every episode can be just the common question that you get asked, and then you answer it in the show. It is super easy to do a podcast that way and super helpful, especially if it's like something common that your ideal client is Googling. If they're typing that into ChatGPT, if they're typing that into Claude, if they're typing that into Google or Gemini or wherever, if that is the exact sentence they are typing and you have a 10-minute or less consumable piece of content that you are answering that question and helping them solve their problem, chef's kiss. That is exactly what you want. Start that running list of your questions and just start answering them in audio form. There's your podcast right there. The 4th thing I would do if I wanted to get a podcast launched by Labor Day weekend is I would pick your 3 content buckets. These are your 3 topics that all episodes need to fall into or in that category of. This is going to help you down the road because eventually you probably will run out of FAQ questions. The FAQs are a fabulous place to start. They're a really easy place to start. It's a really good way to build some credibility, but eventually you are going to need your content buckets. That's not to say that these can't change eventually, but just have an idea of like, my podcast needs to land in one of these buckets that are tied to my niche. And just to keep everything cohesive, because things can get off the rails so quickly. I know even when I started this show a year ago, I thought I was going to do like audits and reviews of shows. And I had all these like, I'm not calling them stupid. There are no stupid ideas, but looking back, it's like, no, you didn't know what you were doing. You were told that you needed to start a podcast by your business coach and you just did it. So we all make mistakes. Even the podcast lady isn't great at podcasting sometimes. So pick your 3 main topics that you want to cater to, that you want to be the expert in, and it needs to fall into one of those buckets when you make a show. So just think that through. Again, they can change, they can evolve. For now, you're answering those questions, but just know that those content buckets are going to be helpful to keep steering the ship down the road. So just start chewing on that. The fifth thing I would do if I wanted to start a podcast by Labor Day weekend is I would batch record my show. What is batch recording? Batch recording is the secret to all of life's problems, if you ask me. I would carve out time, give yourself, especially if you're starting from like scratch, like you've never made a podcast before, you've never recorded yourself before, you've never done anything like this. Carve out a day, half a day even, to record all of your episodes for the first month of your show. That probably sounds daunting. You're like, Abby, it's August now listening to this and I want to start a show by Labor Day weekend. What do you mean record a month worth of content? Well, if you are making a micro podcast, you shouldn't be talking for more than 10 minutes at a time for an episode. So realistically, you could get a month's worth of content done in probably an hour if you're efficient and you have things scripted out and you're ready to rock. So I want you to pick a day to batch record, to actually like sit down, create the show and batch record that first month of content. I'm not telling you need to edit it in that same day, but have it ready for editing so that when you do have a free evening, when you do have a free hour or two to pick at it, it's ready to be picked at. And you're not sitting there when you finally do have that free time going, oh man, I gotta record and then I gotta edit. Like it just becomes too much. I just want you to sit down and hit record and start making some either audio or video content. That is batch recording. Get it all done, have it in the hopper, ready to edit or ready to do whatever you will with it. If you're starting from scratch and have no idea how to edit and hiring someone to do it for you, just have it ready to send. The more you can get done in batches like that, the better off you're going to be. Plus, it sets the stage for setting that habit to keep batch recording down the road. Most of my clients batch record. They are sitting down once a month, either with me or on their own, recording all of their content for the month and either sending it to me or I pack everything up and walk away from them and I have it all recorded on my own SD cards. But they are doing it one day a month because then they don't have to worry about it. Like literally, they just have it done. And then the next time they see it, it is a finished, polished product from me. They don't have to think about it again until they're posting it on the internet to say, hey, look, it's live. Come get it. So batch record your content. It is going to be the best habit for success in podcasting. I'm a firm believer in that. And then the last thing I would do if I wanted to launch a podcast by Labor Day weekend is I would call a professional or take an online course. Either one of the two. And I'm not saying you have to call me, you have to take my online course. I'm saying I am available. I do have an online course for you to take. It is a very comprehensive online course and it'll walk you through every single step you need to take in order to make your podcast. But ask for help. Like if this is something that you've been wanting to do and you even maybe had a New Year's resolution of, I want to start a podcast and I'm going to have it out by Labor Day weekend. Great. That's 30 days from now. So it's time to kick it into high gear. It's time to take that step. If you call a professional, a podcast producer like me, or you call me, we can probably realistically launch your podcast by Labor Day weekend, but it's going to take some time, effort, and money. And it all comes down to like, what do you want from this? Do you want to dilly-dally around with it and learn how to edit and learn how to do this on your own? Or do you not want to learn how to do this and you just want someone to take care of it for you so you can cross it off your list to say podcast is launched by Labor Day weekend? That means we're getting into a good groove right before the holiday season kicks in, and that means we're going to last through the holiday season and into 2027 because we have the right systems in place and you're working with a professional in the industry. That's your call to make. I am not the one to sit here and tell you what the right answer is. I am just here to provide resources, and I am here to tell you, I am here to help you. If you want to launch a podcast by Labor Day this year, let's frickin' go. Let's do it. I am here. Let's knock it out of the park. If you want to learn how to do this on your own, the Bet on Your Podcast course is now live, and you can take that through the school platform. It's SKOOL.com. I got the link in the show notes below. There's actually a discount if you take it through the school program. So if that is something you're interested in, while we are still working out the kinks, and by we, I mean me, working out the kinks of the online community aspect of it, go ahead and take the course on the school platform. It's the exact same course that's going to be part of the online community as well, but just less comprehensive, less cohort, less chitter chatter, and less friend making. It's very like siloed. You're kind of on your own with this. But again, you have access to me, you have access to the course, you have access to my years and years and years of podcast knowledge and just audio production and content creation knowledge in general. And if that's something that you are like, I want to do this myself, I know I can handle it, I just need to learn the right way, the Bet on Your Podcast course is the right move for you. If you're like, I don't got time to learn this and I don't want to learn it, I'm hiring Abbey, that's also an option as well. But either way, it is not out of the question to launch a podcast by Labor Day weekend. You just got to be realistic with yourself and pick which journey you want to go on. It's like a choose your own adventure book. Do you want to learn how to do it? Do you want to hire someone how to do it? Hire someone how to do it. You can tell it is late at night when I am recording this and I'm not even editing it. This is going out as is. Ooh, scary. Why am I doing this? Because I feel very passionately about it. And I don't just wake up out of bed and start recording podcasts. I am feeling very spicy about this and I believe that it is possible. And if you just stick to that mindset shift, that micro podcast, answer those FAQs, pick your content buckets, batch record, you can do it. I know you can do it. I've seen it done before. I've launched so many podcasts on Labor Day weekend. That's the anniversary for honestly a lot of my clients is Labor Day weekend because we all see it as that reset, moving into the fall season, into the holidays, into crossing off things off the bucket list for 2026. What is that called? New Year's resolution list for 2026. Like the time is now. Just do it. You can do this. I can help you and we will get through this together. But it's totally possible to launch by Labor Day weekend. You just got to get your mind right and get your batch recording done. Okay, I'm going to bed. Good night. I will talk to you later. Thanks for listening to Abbey the podcast lady.